Hi, my name is Danielle from Toronto, Ontario, and today I'm going to be bringing to you my appetizer submission for the Real Women of Philadelphia cream cheese, and I'm going to be making my rustic mushroom tart with, what else? Cream cheese. As soon as I heard about the contest, this was the first recipe that came into my mind because I have a food blog called Ginger Rose, and this is actually one of my favorite recipes that I've put on my blog, and it's one that I'm really proud of, so I'm excited to share it with you today. This is really great, savory, free-form tart with a lot of really interesting flavors and textures going on, and it's really pretty, so you're going to want to share this one with your friends and family. So what are we waiting for? Let's get cooking! I'm going to start off with a yellow onion that I have here, and I've already started chopping it. I'm just going to finish up with the chopping. We're just going to have about a medium dice. Whoops, little runaway onion. That's okay. I think a little mess in the kitchen is okay. Alright, so I've got my onion all ready to go, and I'm just going to set a large saute pan to about medium-low heat, and I'm going to add about a tablespoon of olive oil into the pan. Okay, so while that's heating, just get my onions over here. And we just want to soften up the onions a little bit and get a little bit of color to them. We want to brown them just a tad. And I'm also going to add about a teaspoon of sugar in to make them caramelize a little bit faster. I was actually inspired to make this dish when a friend approached me who I hadn't talked to in a really long time. We were sort of starting to lose touch just based on university and school and everything. But she's an aspiring photographer now, and she thought it would be a really great idea if we collaborated our two passions, combined them together for a day of cooking and photography. I would cook and she would photograph whatever I created. So I came up with this tart because it's something, or I thought it would be really delicious. Turned out to be even more delicious than I thought, I promise you. And it's also something that was really visually striking that she could get a really great photo out of. And she did. She took some really beautiful photos that I was really proud to put up on my blog. So my onions have reached the consistency and the color that I want them to be. They're softened, they're a little golden, some of them are getting a little brown on the edges. So I'm going to go ahead and add in my cremini mushrooms, and I chose cremini mushrooms because they're just like button mushrooms, but they're a little bit older, so they have a bit more flavor than button mushrooms, and that's what we want for this dish. We just want layer upon layer of flavor. So these are pre-sliced, pre-washed, just for convenience, and I'm going to add these in. It's about 4 cups, and I also want to add in 2 cloves of garlic. And I've just got some pureed garlic in a jar here, just for convenience. So we just want to cook the mushrooms down, give them a little bit more color, and we also want to cook out the liquid that you're going to see is going to come out of these mushrooms. So this is going to take about 10 to 15 minutes. You want to stir it occasionally. So while my mushrooms are browning, I'm just going to break them up with my spatula a little bit, just to make some smaller pieces. And I did this now rather than before because I knew it was going to be on the stove cooking for about 10 to 15 minutes, so I have the time to break them up really easily with my spatula. They're so soft right now, so I'm just saving a little bit of time here. So my mushrooms are exactly how I want them to be right now. They're nice and brown, and I just turned off the heat for a second just so I could show you them. This is what we want them to look like. They're nice and brown, and the liquid is all evaporated out of them. So now what I'm going to do, get that heat back up, and I'm going to set it to medium-high heat now, increase it, and I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of white wine. And you know the saying, if you wouldn't drink the wine, don't put it in your food, because cooking wine is just going to intensify the flavors already in the wine, and if it's not a good wine, you're not going to want that in your food. So I'm just adding, this is a dry white wine, and this is going to just enhance all the flavors that we already have in this dish, and it's also going to deglaze our pan a little bit. So this is going to be about 5 or 6 minutes that this is going to cook for. We just want to cook out the wine. So I've just turned off the heat from my mushrooms. The wine has cooked out really nicely. So I'm going to add in some fresh thyme. And I chose thyme because thyme has a really great flavor to it, but it's fairly subtle and it blends really, really well with other flavors. So it's not going to overpower everything else going on in the dish. It's just going to enhance the flavors. I also have about a 1/4 cup of sour cream. And this is just going to add a little bit more creaminess to the dish, and it's going to tie it all together so that it's not just like mushrooms on top of our cream cheese. It's all going to kind of blend in and mix. Okay, and I'm also going to season it up with some salt and pepper. So you want to season up every single layer of this dish. I've got my puff pastry that I've rolled out here, and as you can see, it's got that really nice free-form rustic look to it. We don't want this to look perfect. That's the whole point. We want it to look rustic. So what I'm going to do is take some of this softened Philadelphia cream cheese, which is really the star of our dish. I'm just going to take the same spoon as the cream cheese. And I'm just going to kind of soften it up a little bit more with the spoon so I can spread it easily. And I'm going to get this onto my tart. And I'm going to spread it around, leaving about an inch border all the way around. And that's going to act as our crust. And this is going to add so much creaminess to our tart and a little bit of tang as well. And it's going to work really, really well with all the other flavors we have going on. So I'm going to take my mushroom mixture, this heavy pan, I'm going to just put it in here. Get it all out, and I'm just going to spread it around. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold up the sides of my tart. Just roll it over and kind of pinch it. Once again, this is rustic, doesn't have to be perfect. So before our tart goes in the oven, I've just got some Parmesan cheese that I'm just going to grate over it all. And this is going to add more creaminess, more saltiness, more flavor. Alright, so this is looking really good. All I have to do now is bake it in the oven. We want our crust to be golden brown. I'm going to bake it at 400 degrees for about 30 minutes. We want it at that really high temperature because all we want to do is puff up our puff pastry. Everything else in this dish is already cooked, so we just want to get a nice golden brown color on it. Alright, my tart has been cooking for 30 minutes. It looks perfectly golden. I took a little peek inside and I'm ready to take it out. Oh, it's hot. Ooh, look at that. This tart looks amazing. I'm gonna tilt it carefully for you to take a look. Oop, it's sliding a bit. You can see it's all puffed up. We've got that crust around all the sides. You can see that Philadelphia cream cheese peeking through, adding that creaminess to it all. So I'm just gonna let this cool for a little bit because I'm going to add some Parmesan cheese slices on top, and I don't want those to really melt. I just kind of want them to rest on top. And I'm also going to add some chopped parsley, and I don't want that to wilt. So I'm just going to let this cool for about 6 or so minutes. Alright, so my tart is cooled down, and using 2 big spatulas I transferred it to a big plate here. And you can see it's not quite as puffed up in the center of the tart as it was before, so you can really see that crust all around it. So what I'm going to do is take some parsley. I've got some regular flat leaf parsley here. I'm going to bunch it up so it's easy to chop. And I just kind of want a rough chop on it because we want to see that green all over the tart. It's going to add a little bit of color, and it's also going to add a little bit more brightness to the dish as well. Let's just give this another chop. That looks good. Let's see if we have enough. We just want to sprinkle this all over. Oh, perfect. That's all I need. And I'm also going to take this big piece of Parmesan cheese here, and I've just got a vegetable peeler. And what I'm going to do is get some slices of Parmesan that I'm just going to place on top of the tart. And this is going to just add to the visual appeal of the tart, but it's also going to add a little bit more of that flavor from the cheese to it. So my tart is complete. Here it is. Now you can slice this up into squares, little bite-sized pieces as an hors d'oeuvre, or you can even cut this into triangles, which gives really, really nice visual appeal. So I want to thank you all for spending the day in my kitchen with me, making my rustic mushroom tart with cream cheese. I had a lot of fun, and I hope that your family and friends enjoy it just as much as mine do. Thanks!